So one thing that I did differently was I did a pilot, and the pilot was free. I needed to test the market. And so to test the market, I was like, okay, if I have a free event, I pick a good venue, I pick a good spot, I got my DJs. If the people want it, they'll come. That way people could come, get proof of concept, experience it, and they'll be hooked, and then you got them.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So for all those crazy people out there who never heard of your girl who ain't tapped in, they don't know what's going on. Liberia is in the building. Give us your name and tell us what you do in a couple of seconds.
Sure. So I'm Sisi. I'm a creative entrepreneur in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And I do events, I do set design, a little bit of everything.
I like that. So let's go back to where it all started for you from the beginning of time when you started your journey. How did you fall in love with being a hustler?
A hustler. That's a different type of question. um, I would say I just always wanted to not necessarily do my own thing, but I've always been in entrepreneurship for the idea of time freedom. And so I was always trying to find a way to like marry the two. So marry my interests, but with time freedom. So find something that would work to help me get time freedom that I enjoy.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. So, in your family, your moms, your pops, or whoever, cousins, or whatever, where do you feel you get your drive from to actually, I don't know, throw events or to have the wherewithal to want to have freedom?
I feel like it's a mixture, right? So if you know Liberian people, we like to party, we like to have a good time, and that even goes to our like elders, right? So I feel like, at least speaking for me and my family, I know I would go out with my mom and we would all be like kids in the basement and they would be like doing their thing. I wouldn't say that necessarily sparked my journey for like doing events and stuff, but just as I got older, I really enjoyed just like bringing people together and having a good time. So as I would go to different events, I would just think about like, okay, what could I add to this? What would be better? Or just thinking about creating a vibe and bringing people together and having a good time. Everybody
Mm,
needs a way to just like let loose.
okay. So, in the midst of you doing that and picking up tidbits of what you like, what you don't like, and stuff like that, were you nervous, or what was the moment where you were like, you know what, let me try this on my own and see if I could do my own event and make it pop the way CC knows how?
So I started this journey in like 2014, but I would say around that time I had a lot of like analysis paralysis. So I decided I wanted to do events, but I didn't know how to get started. And so I really just like indulged in a lot of research and just looking into different things. So initially I really wanted to do like a large scale event. So I looked at different music festivals, concerts, of course, like different parties. I started following different event organizers, promoters in the area, even internationally. And then I would even do like mood boarding. So whether it's like going to Pinterest and seeing like different ideas for activations or just the way that different things work, I started researching because I wasn't in the event space. And I'm a person that's very intentional. So I like to know about something so that when I do enter this space, I at least have like a good idea about it. And the reason I said I had like analysis paralysis was because I wanted to do something so large scale that I was like, how am I going to make this happen at such a large scale? And so it took someone talking to me about making it basically bite sized. Like, how can I start now with my vision, right? And not necessarily doing that large scale idea right away. And so that's how I got started.
Well said, well said, well said. Yo, if you are just joining us, you are tuned in to the Kenny D Show. And I'm your host, Kenny D, where we bring you entrepreneurs, hustlers, and stars. And today we got an entrepreneur and a hustler in the building, the one and only CC. That's right, the Chocolate City event planner doing her thing right here on the Kenny D Show. So let me ask you this. With your first event, how many people were you expected to show up? How many people did show up? What was it nervous for you? Were you a train wreck in your first event?
Definitely. So I wouldn't say it was like a train wreck because I'm a very like nonchalant, laid back person. So once I get to an event, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, and I'm not gonna let it like stress me. That's definitely like my mantra. So I would say with the first event though, I really underestimated marketing and how hard it is to gather a lot of people into one space. It is a talent. It's a talent. So I
Mm,
think for the first event, I was thinking like, oh yeah, we could easily get like 200 people. Like this is the event. Like people would definitely come out. And I want to say for the first one, maybe we had about like, I want to say like 85 to 100, but I want to say like 85 because I looked at the numbers. So we had around that amount. But it was good. It was like a nice, intimate event. We had vendors there that were set up, like Black owned businesses. We set up like a little activation area for people to do a video booth. We had a picture wall and then just lots of dancing. So it was still a good time for everyone that went.
mm. So your first event, you had 85 to 100 people. That's pretty good. I mean, I don't know too many people doing that. Not on the first event. Were you expecting more people or less, or was it just like the right amount that you were expecting?
We were ambitious, so we were expecting more. You know, like when you're doing an event, you're like, oh, I want this many people, da da da. Like you
Mhm.
want it to be packed. So one thing about me is I've always been like, I'm successful when there are people around me who I don't know that are coming to my events. So of course your first event is going to be a lot of friends and family coming out to support, but there were also additional people there. But we were really looking forward to having like way more people. But I wouldn't say that it was bad. It was a great time.
Mm, okay. So you mentioned your mom earlier. Was she there at your first ever event, or has she been to any of your events recently? How big has your mom been in this process of you doing your thing?
So my mom has been big in this process of doing it. She hasn't been to any events, but I call her and talk to her about them all the time. So this was back in 2019 when we did our first event. It's 2025 now, and so she can really see the growth even with like my other events. And so anytime
Mhm.
I'm having an event, I tell her, and she's just like, "Oh wow, like that's really good. That's amazing." Like like she's shocked. She's gagged a lot of the times, but she loves to just see the progress and she'll advise me on different things, like just as far as people having fun, making sure people are being safe. And I think the last event, she was like, tell the people not to drink too much because it was Juneteenth. So she was like, y'all drink too much. But she definitely supports, which I love because coming from like an African household, sometimes like the creative side is hard for them to like understand. But I say my mom has been like really supportive with like my creative endeavors. So I really appreciate it.
Mm, okay. I like that. So with you being very creative with your events and things like that, one of the things that stuck out to me is you have a large following on TikTok. What's up with that? Did you ever think that TikTok would pay dividends the way it is for you now in terms of your event planning?
Not really. So when I first got on TikTok, I wasn't really sure of like my direction, and I figured out my direction later on. So initially, I was on there sharing like a lot of my set design work because it was during COVID at the time. And so events had really died down because we weren't going out. So I was sharing a lot of my like creative work. And then it wasn't until last year where I really started sharing 30 and over events. And through me sharing the 30 and over events, that's what really drew or brought up my following. And so I think I went from like maybe 1,000, I want to say, to now I'm at like 12,800, which is like extreme growth. And I would say from there, it was really just recommending and sharing events with people where I became like a trusted source, quote unquote.
Mm. Yeah, let me say this off the record because I went to one of your events, 30 and over, and there was two girls who showed up. I'm sorry, two young ladies who showed up. One was 28, the other was 27. The fellas at the door did not let them
Oh,
in because
okay.
they were under 30. They were not playing. So me and the dude in the elevator, we were laughing, but we couldn't believe it. Like, wow, I ain't never seen nothing like that before. So it is really VIP up in there at Sisi's events. I like it. So the 30 and over thing. Where did you get that from? What, it could be any age, 35 and over, 40 and over, whatever, 25 and over. Why 30 and over?
So it was 30 and over because I started seeing just like a need for it around before I even started making the videos. I want to say I was on Twitter at the time, so I saw people mentioning it here and there, like in different tweets. And then when I got on TikTok, I saw people also asking, like, yo, where are people going that are 30 and over? So I was like, oh, wow. Not only do I throw events, I wasn't even thinking about that at the time, but because I throw events, I follow everybody who throws events. And I was like, well, I see the events out there that are catered towards an older crowd. I could tell y'all where those events are if y'all really don't know. Because a lot of times, some of my friends will ask me, or like my friends' significant others, maybe from like out of town, and be like, oh, Cece, what's going on this weekend? Like, they'll hit me up, and I'm like, oh, this is going on, even though I be in the house. So I thought,
Mhm.
like, you know what? This is something that I already naturally do. So let me just offer that to people. And that's how the 30 plus started because that was just like a missed market in the area.
Mm. So, one of the things that I found, crazy or really interesting when it does come to your events, the tickets. The
Yes.
women's tickets are selling out like hotcakes, pancakes, waffles, whatever you want to say. They are selling out immediately. How do you get your events to do that where you putting up these tickets and the women are just buying them at wholesale?
I think it really has to do with that need. I think I'm just meeting the need of people really wanting a 30 and over event. And
Mm.
so, one thing about women is we plan. So, if we see an event that we want to go to, we're most likely going to share it and then we're going to buy. But men, I've learned just from doing events, men wait until the last minute. So, a guy will know that he's coming. He's probably not buying the ticket until maybe the day before or the day of or like the hour before. And so I've seen that as like a trend, but women are serious. And I think because of like the first one, that really like set things off as far as setting the precedence for everything else. Like, oh, this event is going to be packed. Let me get my ticket. And the spaces that we were using were way smaller. So it's easy for the tickets to sell out if it's small, but it's also like popular and people want to attend.
Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. So let me ask you this in respect to your events. When you are doing them, what is the hardest piece to actually get? Is it the bartenders? Is it the DJ? Is it the food? What's the hardest part to set up for the events?
I would say the hardest part, honestly, is the venue. I think just dealing with the venue and like venue management, that's the most difficult part because the DJs, I feel like that's pretty easy because once again, since I'm already doing events, it's like I know who to reach out to. It's just a simple email. But every venue comes with something, and it's just something you have to work out and figure out what it's going to be. So I'll say the venue.
The venue. So speaking in
Hmm.
reference to the venue, is there a favorite venue that you have? Because I do notice that in your events, they're all different venues. Is there a favorite one for Cece?
Not yet. I wouldn't say that there's a favorite one for me yet. I think that every venue has like its own pros and cons or like just different benefits to them. So I think certain venues work better for certain types of events. So for example, we did a happy hour at Soast. I think Soast was perfect for a happy hour. And I can compare it to when we did our actual like day party there. When we did the day party there, it was a little too hectic, a little too much. And I think the second time around, it was like, oh, yeah, this is perfect for a happy hour. So I would say it really depends on the venue and the type of event. But
Mm.
I don't have a favorite yet.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Yo, if y'all just joining us, y'all tuned in to the Kenny D Show, and I'm your host, Kenny D, and we're here with the one and only Sisi. That's right, aka the Queen of Events, right here in the DMV, right here on the Kenny D Show. So let me ask you this: you are Liberian, Africa, all of this stuff. What is Cece's favorite Liberian food? Fufu and soup, palm butter, cassava leaf, potato greens. What's up? What is Cece's favorite Liberian food?
I feel like anything with fufu, honestly, like anything with fufu. But if I had to pick one thing with fufu, it would be like fufu and okra or palava sauce and fufu. Or if I'm taking it to Lofa County, I would say tabaki. I love tabaki, bro. But I
Oh
only
my
eat it
god.
like every once in a while. But yes, and dry rice. Oh my god, dry rice. I'll make dry rice like at least like once a month. Same with fufu and okra. Cause like a good dry rice, you can't beat it.
So at your events, can we, I don't know, can we see some African food at your events, or have you already done that before and maybe, people don't know?
I've done that before. So not as season, but Carbonado. So Carbonado is the diaspora focused event. And so that one connects people that are American, Caribbean, Afro Latino, or African, just to the culture that exists in Africa, whether it's through the music or through the food. And so at those events, we've definitely had African food. Not Liberian yet, only because I need to find like a good Liberian food vendor who can cook on site, which I would love. But yeah, we've definitely had like suya, jollof rice, grilled fish. Like we've had the works.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So with all the events you've been doing, with all the tapping into the ladies, tapping into the fellas, maybe some of your fans or somebody out there, they want to know, is Sisi single? What's up? Are you single, doing all this stuff, making all these boss moves? Is Sisi single?
I'm not single.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, all right. Well, that solves that. So how important has your man been like in this process? Does he come to the events? What's up? How supportive has he been in your quest for greatness?
He's been very supportive in the quest. So like anything I do, I always like just run it past, not run it past people for like approval, but just say like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Like, what's your thoughts? And so he's been very supportive. He's also been like a really good sounding board because I'll say, I'm getting an urge to do, for example, 30 and over events. Like I thought about this in November, but I didn't
Mm,
act on it until like what February. So I just be like, I want to do X, Y, Z, and then he'll talk to me about it and be like, go for it. So he definitely attends the events. And these last two, the happy hour and the day party we did yesterday, he actually took pictures. So I was like, okay, like we could be a nice little duo. I do events, you do pictures.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So you mentioned he did pictures. Is that his thing that he does? Like that's what he always does? And if he does, is that something that makes you guys chemistry so strong?
The photos or
Mm-hmm.
him taking pictures, he literally just started. So he probably started about like, we in July, maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. So he literally just started, but he's definitely like he has a passion for it. So I was like, okay, come shoot season. Like, let's see the pictures. So
Okay, so is his pictures, are they tight? Do we need to pay for them? What's up? How good can he do a photo shoot? What's up? What's up with your man's pictures?
the pictures are tough. They tough. I'm dropping
Mm,
them. He's editing some of them tonight, so I'll be dropping them this week. But he did the happy hour photos. They tough, and he did some of the events. Yes, some of the event photos yesterday. They tough. They nice.
mm,
Yeah. So
okay.
okay, check you out. Yeah, they're nice.
Yo, this your boy Kenny D. Hey, didn't mean to interrupt your show, but I just wanted to take a quick minute, just to let you guys know. If you want to see more dope interviews like this one, that's right, you want to go on YouTube and go to The Kenny D Show Live, alright? And also, don't forget about our website, TheKennyDShow.com, alright? We got you! Yo, I'm done talking. Back to the show. I like that. I like that. I like that. So in a world where we have a lot of people together and people break up and stuff like that, in your opinion, what do you feel is the reason why some couples don't stand the test of time, even though they might have great chemistry? In Cece's opinion, what's your opinion on that in terms of why you think people might not stand the test of time?
I think it could be a couple things. Like it could be just misalignment and it could also be communication. So misalignment as far as maybe your personalities clash or your goals, your morals, your values, like maybe there's something there that just doesn't match up, it isn't sync. But then also communication. Because if you have not only different communication styles, but you don't understand each other's communication styles, that can definitely be an area where the relationship is weakened because if you're both unable to communicate with each other, whether it's hearing the other person or even expressing yourself, then that could be a big issue that drives you apart.
Hmm, hmm. Well said. Well said. So, what's next for CC's events? Are you looking to have maybe some big time artists, maybe her, maybe, I don't know, uh,
Okay.
with Khalifa coming to your event performing? Is that something we could see here in the near future at one of your events?
I would say stay tuned. Stay tuned. You never let your what is it, your left hand know what your right hand doing. So
Mm.
yes. So it's like I have, like I told you, I wanted to start like really big scale and I'm starting like smaller scale. So I would say just stay tuned to see what I have in store because it's not always going to be the same thing. But if you pay attention, you should know where I'm headed.
So can we get an inside peek, baby? Is CC's taking her event planning on the road to New York, Philly, Jersey? I don't know, Atlanta. What's up? Can we get a sneak peek on that to see if you're going to another state eventually?
I'm not sure yet. We'll see. So when we did the first event at Arlo, people were in the comments going crazy from like a bunch of different cities asking us to bring it to different places. But once again, I'm very intentional. So I want to make sure we master what it is at a foundational level before we take anything on road. So any hiccups that we have, any little kinks, anything in the experience that needs to be fixed, I want to fine tune that before saying, hey, let's go to New York, you know? That way, we go to New York, we already have like what we're doing down pat, and then we could deal with any other obstacles along the way. But we'll see. Maybe in the future.
So is that something where with CC where you could do like I don't know a survey to see how many people want y'all to come to New York or Philly or whatever or Atlanta? Is that something where y'all could do like a survey to gauge, what the real interest is for your events?
Absolutely. So I saw another group do this. Once again, I'm like a researcher too, so I see what other people are doing. There's a group I follow in New York, and they are looking at coming to DC. They said this summer, I haven't seen a date yet, but what they did was they put out a feeler ad and they had you text and they said, hey, we're coming to DC. Are you interested? And you basically RSVP'd, you put your number in there. And so whenever they drop the date, of course, you'll get that announcement, but that also lets them know this many people are interested and now we have this many numbers. So if I did decide to go on the road, I would do exactly that. I thought that was genius.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you like to do research, you like to know what's going on before you actually get into the business and things of that nature. So it seems your first uh, you know, coming out party was really well. Do you think that's because you actually took the time to plan? You didn't just jump out there? Because normally people, when they come out and do this, their first event might not be 85 or 100 people.
So that was the first event in like 2019. That one, I think, like I said, I wanted like way more. So let me give you a comparison about things I would do differently then versus now, right? So
Hmm.
that was with Carbonado, the more African centered event. With Seasoned, this was my second rodeo of like launching a brand. So one thing that I did differently was I did a pilot, and the pilot was free. I needed to test the market. And so to test the market, I was like, okay, if I have a free event, I pick a good venue, I pick a good spot, I got my DJs. If the people want it, they'll come, right? And so the mistake that we made with Carbonado was we didn't have proof of concept yet. We put the event out there, but we had a paying ticket. You know, we had a lot of expenses, which was cool, but we probably could have lessened our expenses and just did a free event. That way people could come, get proof of concept, experience it, and they'll be hooked, and then you got them. So I would say that's one thing that I've learned throughout this process. It's like, okay, I'm going to launch it. Let me launch it for free. Let me do a pilot. So that was
Hmm.
something I learned from experience.
Okay. So one thing I've always been fascinated about was tickets because you mentioned free.
Mhm.
How do you know like what to price an event? Obviously, you have other events they're having their prices and things like that. How do you know how to price your events efficiently?
So you have to go with your expenses. You have to look at all of your expenses, and budgeting should be done on the front end if you can. Sometimes I've definitely had times where the budgeting was not done on the front end and you kind of just go with it and whatever, but I would say that's not the way to go. So I would say just budget for everything, whether it's the venue, the DJs, any decor that you have, if you're having food, your staff for the door, all of that stuff. Once you do that, you get the venue capacity. If you know the venue capacity, you could split that. So I don't want to get into math, but like, let's say the venue capacity is 100 and your expenses are 1,000. So then you would just divide that 1,000 by like 100, and that's what, $10, right? So you would say,
Right.
okay, if I did $10 a ticket, I would break even on this place. But if I did, You don't want to break even. So you want to go a little bit higher. Maybe if I did $20, I could at least get $10, extra on top of everything. But another thing I've learned is that even if the capacity is 100, you can oversell a little bit because there's going to be a flow. It's not going to be 100 people in there all the time at the same time. So you may want to oversell a little bit. Maybe sell like 125, 150, because 100% of people are not coming. And then they're also going to stagger their entrance. And so all those things have to be accounted for. So you could even sell like 125, 130 tickets for $20. And now you're still getting way more money. And then you just keep doing it over. But you don't want to be greedy. And it depends on the experience that you're offering too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I like that. So, today's quick topic of the show is Diddy. He beat the Rico case.
Uh,
Obviously, he's out now. Well, not out, but he's not guilty, but still in jail. What's your thoughts on that with Diddy beating the case with Cassie and all these allegations going on regarding Diddy?
so I would say my whole thoughts on the Diddy case was that I think it just shows you the space that America is in right now, especially when it comes to picking jurors. Like, it's very important who you pick, like, on a jury, but it's also very important, like, how the prosecution and how the defense present the cases, because there has to be, like, no, reasonable doubt, right? Like, they have to be proven guilty. And so I think with everything that Diddy did, I absolutely think it's disgusting, it's atrocious, all of the above. And I don't think that him being like not charged on everything means that, oh my gosh, he didn't do it, which I think is what a lot of people do. I just think that here we are. You know what I mean? Like, this is just what it is. But it's just sad to see that women went through what they went through with him in these experiences. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to be, I guess, charged for everything that they brought against him. But we'll see how much time he does, and we'll go from there. It's just really unfortunate, like what everyone went through, and especially for them to have to get back on the stand and have to recount the stories. And of course, it wasn't televised, but all those people who just told us what was happening in the courtroom, it was very disturbing.
So, do you think that they knew everything that was going on with Diddy, like all the stuff he's been doing? Is just now they're just kind of bringing it out?
Um, I don't know why they're just bringing it out. I wouldn't say they're just bringing it out now, but I would say it's probably been something that's been happening in the industry for like a while. They were mentioning like certain celebrities and everything being involved. So I'm pretty sure it's something that they knew about, but there's one thing to know about something and actually be able to like charge. Because like, what's the criminal act? That's what you really have to prove. Like, what is the criminal act? And so that's why it's so important, as far as the charges that you bring forward, making sure you have all the evidence, because once you do that, you can't really just try the person again and again and again unless new evidence is found. So
So, in terms of your events, can we see in the near future maybe like a 60s party where people got to wear bell bottoms or something like that? Is that something we see from you in the future?
a 60s party, I don't know, but a themed event, definitely. So I did do a survey after the third event. We did a survey where I pretty much asked people like what they wanted to see. So as you can see, I'm also big in like data. So I asked people what they want to see, because if I can feel that need, why not? And so people were definitely into themed events. So I would love to look into like what type of themed events I could bring people out for, especially like as the fall and the winter come around. Like, it's not going to be that many day parties anymore. So you got to switch it up and keep people guessing, but still create events that they want to come to.
Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. I like that. I like that. So, for that young girl out there who wants to be the next Cece, for that young boy out there who wants to be the next Cece, what would you tell them if they wanted to get into the event game?
There's so many things. I would just say start small. So yes, I would say start small. Like, think about what it is that you want to execute, and just think about what is the what is it called? The most viable product that you can just put out there quickly. So it doesn't have to be exactly what you envision it to be, but you can reiterate over time. So you can do just one small event, see if the people like it, tweak it, and then you work your way to your ideal event. That would be my
Mm,
best advice.
mm. Okay, okay. Well said, well said, well said. So, any future events coming up that we need to know about now, next year? I don't know. Any future events for Sisi?
Definitely. So, Carbonado, we do a yearly block party. So, it's called Mocha. That block party will be coming on August 9th. I'm actually going to be dropping the flyer and the announcement this week. And the next event we're doing for season will also happen in August because those events right now are monthly.
Mm, okay, okay, okay. I like that. So, let me ask you this too, because I was thinking about this. When it comes to the wintertime, when it gets cold, what do you do then? Like, does the event does it slow down, or you still find ways to be effective even when it's cold?
You still find ways to be effective even when it's cold. I think that's where those other ideas will come in as far as the theme nights and a few other things. I'm not going to drop it here just because, but yeah, a few other different ideas that I'll do.
Okay,
I'll say something off the record.
okay.
Off the record, it's a lot of biters. So I can't just be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do XYZ because it's a lot of biters. So it's like, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So I'm
mm.
like, I ain't saying what I got planned next. Because even like the happy hour, that was like something where it's like, sometimes I just get an itch where it's like, all right, I'm about to do something. And then I just do it. Because nobody's expecting me to do a happy hour. They're expecting the same rooftop, this, da da da. I'm like, okay, let me go on with something new. So yeah, my drop in. That's I can't tell my left hand what my right hand doing. Not in DC.
Okay, 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 okay,
Yes.
okay, okay, okay. So, if
Yes.
anybody wants to, I don't know, book CC to throw an event for them, or maybe have, I don't know, some type of Super Bowl party and wants you to throw the event and host it or whatever, how do they get in contact with CC?
Well, two ways. I would say send me an email. That's the easiest way. My email is cc@ccbloom.com, and that's sisi@sisibloom.com. Or you can just shoot me a DM at ccbloom on Instagram.
Mm. Okay, okay, I like that. So, for all those people who've been rocking with you in Liberia, fufu and soup, palm butter, your first event, also doing the major events, the ladies selling out the tickets, all of that. Any final thoughts for your fans or shout outs before we sign off on the Kenny D Show?
My only final thought would be that my family and friends have like really, really supported this journey since like 2019 of me like doing events and stuff. And so I just really appreciate my community and my village, even like my TikTok friends on there. Like I just love how they show up. And I feel like that's the reason why the events have been able to do so well is really like my TikTok family. Like they show up and show out and I just love that. So yeah, I'm just very, very grateful and I want to just, show appreciation to them. But then obviously also just God, because I'm like, these ideas, I don't know where they're coming from, but I just receive it. So, you
Mm.
know, that's it. I'm just really grateful, really thankful.
All right. So, it was a good show. Yo, tell everybody who you chilling with.
It's Cece, and I'm chilling with Kenny D on the Kenny D Show.
All right. And that concludes our show for this evening. But before I let you go, I'd like to thank all my viewers out there for tuning in. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That's right. You're going to subscribe and make sure you turn those notifications on. So when we upload videos, you are the first to get it. And last but not least, we like to thank the one and only, the queen of events. That's right. The one and only Cece for blessing us with her presence on the show. All right. See you next time on the Kenny D Show. You don't want to miss it. Holla.